you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Vicky Vale.
Bruce Wayne.
And what do you do for a living?
Lieutenant. Get those wonderful toys.
My life is really complex.
Winged freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
And welcome back, everybody, to the third Generation Wrestling Podcast. 3GW here. Technically, it is Thursday, and it's Throwback Thursday. And the theme for this month is Batman, who is going to be in the new Flash movie. As you can see, with the logo. I also got my Bat hoodie on.
Nice.
I do own a shirt with this logo on it, but I couldn't find it, but I knew I had this, so that's what I got on tonight. Obviously, if you're new to the show, new to 3GW, I am the real Big E. That is Rob the Ambassador. How's it going, sir?
Man, it's going good. It's going good. We're recording this on Thursday, and I'm excited to talk about this movie. When this movie came out, it was one of the biggest movies in recent memory. There's a lot of huge hype behind it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. And of course, our dearly departed book, Batman was his dude. So,
yeah,
you know, whenever I see anything Batman, that's
what I think about. Yeah. Yep. So like I said, if you're new to the channel, new to the show, this is something we do. We try to get these out on time, Throwback Thursday, but life right now is a little hectic. So there may be a day late, maybe two, but we do get these out. We do our movie reviews, particularly movies from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We try to go with the theme of what's going on today. Like I said, this one kind of ties into the new Flash movie with, Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman. And, we put up a poll last week about people's favorite Joker, and we talked about the different Jokers over time and played in film. So before this gets posted, I did put up a poll about people's favorite Batman actors as well. YouTube only allowed me to put up 4. So the choices were Adam West, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, and Robert Pattinson. Obviously, there's still Val Kilmer, Ben Affleck, and Lord have mercy, George Clooney. Can't see anybody voting for him. But so I took the cream of the crop, the ones that got their own Batman movies or had a franchise, you know what I'm saying? So that being said, Batman has evolved over the years. You talked about the Adam West Batman 66. You look at how that Batman was not dressed in all black. It was the gray and the blue, and it was more comedic. It was family oriented, and that's not the direction Tim Burton wanted to go. You have been vocal about how, and this is what I wanted to get to, how you didn't like the casting choice of Michael Keaton. Now, me personally, being born in 87, this movie came out in 89. I've seen some of his older stuff, obviously Beetlejuice, and I've never seen what's the other comedy he did? I can't think of it.
There was
Mr. Mom, yeah.
Okay.
That so I didn't know his comedic history. So I only took him as this, like he plays serious characters. That's the first thing I saw him in. And then so it was the reverse for me. So when I saw him in Beetlejuice the first time, I was like, this is strange. So just real quick, this was real time for you, so you knew the Batman movie was coming out. You were probably going to a theater and you saw this poster with no words on it, just the Bat logo, but I'm sure you knew exactly what it was. But then maybe you found out who was playing Batman, and you were kind of like, him, really?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, like everybody else at that time, just excited to see a new Batman movie coming out. It had been years since there was any sort of Batman film on the
66.
big screen. Yeah, I had never seen one on the big screen myself. So when I heard about it, and then I heard Tim Burton was connected to it, and I like Tim Burton. I liked Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Actually, I love that movie. Love Beetlejuice. Who doesn't love Beetlejuice? So I knew that, he's a very unique director. So I was kind of curious to see if that would work. I knew he's a great director, but how would it work with Batman? And so then, of course, the next question is, well, who's going to play Bruce Wayne, aka Batman? And so, yeah, when I heard it was Michael Keaton, who I knew as a comedic actor from Beetlejuice, from Mr. Mom, from Night Shift, which came out years earlier, I just thought that was bad casting. I knew Tim Burton, obviously he had worked with Michael Keaton before, so he was okay with that. And in doing research for the show, what I found out is that actually it was one of the producers who suggested Keaton because he had seen Keaton in a movie called Clean and Sober, which was actually a more serious movie. Now, I had never seen that movie. I just knew him from his comedies, but I'll be honest, I just thought that was a bad choice.
He's not tall. He's not tall. He doesn't have like a big stature. He's not, built like superheroes are now. So I could understand that part too. But I thought that's the Batman I grew up on. So and this is, one of my favorite movies of all time, Batman of '89. And when I recall when Batman Forever came out and they made the change to Val Kilmer.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
And the reason why that happened was just really just about money. Sometimes this is what it comes down to. Keaton wanted more money, and they were like, "No, we can just get Val Kilmer." And this was supposed to catapult Val Kilmer into superstardom, which kind of never happened, really. It kind of peaked with Batman Forever, really. I mean, people knew him from Top Gun and a few other things, but the Tombstone, people knew him from that as well. But I thought Val Kilmer there were times when he's Batman, I'm saying, where you really almost couldn't tell the difference.
Action!
The one thing I think that's really strong is that he's a human being. There isn't anything bionic, so you can relate to him. He has no problem being Batman. And that's really fun to do. I mean, the character knows what his world is about when he dons the cape, gets in the Batmobile. And then the things that are most fantastical about Bruce Wayne have to do with basic American dream ideals. He's disgustingly wealthy. He's so wealthy it never comes up. He's single, and what he chooses to do with his free time is fight an impossible battle.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
Between him and Keaton. He was almost like he was trying to play, Keaton's Batman, essentially.
Yeah, I actually liked Kilmer.
You like Kilmer, you said?
I enjoyed Kilmer.
Yeah, I did too. And I thought he would, obviously do the next one. I'm not sure on the circumstance of why he didn't do the next one, but because George Clooney was a terrible choice.
Well, do I want to be the third Batman in the fourth Batman picture? The other three were very successful, and the only thing you can do is screw it up.
Terrible.
Well, anybody who listens to this podcast knows I still have not seen Batman and Robin, so I can't judge, but I will take your word for it. And as a quick aside, there were other actors considered before Michael Keaton, and I'm just going to name some of them: Kevin Costner, Charlie Sheen, Tom Selleck, and here's one that really, really is unbelievable to me: Bill Murray. Yeah, I was shocked when I read that one, but yeah, apparently Bill Murray was considered, and then two more: Dennis Quaid, and Harrison Ford.
I guess if you took a young Harrison, I could almost go with Harrison Ford. A younger Harrison Ford, I could almost go with.
See, and here's why I can't, even though I love Harrison Ford as an actor. Han Solo and Indiana Jones are such big characters that we're so familiar with. It would be hard for me to separate, to see him as Batman when I see him. When I think Harrison Ford, I think Indiana Jones and Han Solo.
The separation would be difficult, but if you're a great actor, you can do it, because there's been actors over the years that have played multiple roles, and they're just different types of characters. But of the names you listed, that's the only one I could see doing it. Dennis Quaid, a younger Dennis Quaid, maybe. But
I actually think Mel Gibson could have done it. You have to remember, this is a younger Mel Gibson. I could have seen that.
Maybe. And we're gonna get to 89 here real quick, but just over the years, we had this conversation when we talked about Joker. When we talked about Heath Ledger getting casted as Joker, and everybody having all that doubt, like, Heath Ledger, are you serious? And he kills it. Ben Affleck, Daredevil, got casted as Batman in Superman versus Batman, and there was the uproar on social media was insane. People hated the idea. And then I remember the first image came out with him in the cape and cowl standing in front of the Batmobile. It was a black and white picture. And then people changed their tune, like, oh, he went back to the short ears. He looks like he's been working out. And okay. And then people saw the movie, and it was like he was an amazing Batman in Batman v. He was the best part of Batman v Superman. And I was one of the detractors. I was one of the doubters. But honestly, he was seriously one of the best, definitely the Batman outside of Robert Pattinson with the best fight scenes. Because that fight scene in the warehouse, it was epic. And just the way they handled it, like, everybody talks about Christian Bale's Batman with the voice, him doing the throaty voice. It was actually like 3 or 4 people that recorded that voice. And then what they did in Superman versus Batman v Superman, they said, we're just going to put a modulator on him and let that be it. And that's brilliant.
Funnel fairy, butterbar, funnel fairy, butterbar, funnel fairy, butterbar, funnel fairy. There's nothing wrong with the microphone. It's this new layer of armor.
And that just worked. I just thought that. So from long story short, what I'm trying to say is, when these actors are casted, I think we should all kind of just lean back a little bit and just trust, because the same thing was said about Robert Pattinson when he got the role of Batman. People said, the Twilight dude, are you freaking serious?
You hear me? That little suit's gonna get all full of blood.
Mine are yours.
"1989 Batman," directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, of course, and Kim Basinger. And this is the thing I like about this Batman movie, probably the most. It's not really an origin story. When the movie starts, he's already Batman. They do flashback, and they kind of let you know how he got there via flashback. But he's Batman already. We're not doing the Batman Begins thing where it takes an hour before he's even Batman, you know. And they shot this movie, I believe, in the UK on a state, not, I don't want to say a sound stage, but there was a set, and Tim Burton even admitted he was not a comic book fan. I get curious why directors take on movies that they're not fans of the original material. I don't get it, but hey, he put his own kind of twist on this movie, having Joker be, or the guy, Jack Napier being the person that, essentially created Batman in this movie, who comic book fans know that actually it was Joe Chill that killed Martha and Thomas Wayne. So that, I know people have always kind of been up in arms about that, but I can let that go. It's the same story essentially. It's kind of a swerve how this movie starts too, because you see a family walking through an alley, the husband, wife, and the son. And if you didn't know any better, you would think that was Bruce, but they call him Jimmy, so it's not Bruce. And they get mugged, they don't get shot, but you see Batman looking down, and that's how he's introduced. And I thought that the imagery, the thing I would say about Tim Burton was the imagery when you first meet Batman. You could tell he was kind of going for a horror look, because with the whole raising of the cape, like a full bat would do, and dropping down, like the way he dropped down in the background while they were talking. I love that imagery.
What are you? I'm Batman.
It's just the fact that he was using fear. And that's what Batman was really known for. The Dark Knight known for, instilling fear in his enemies before he takes them out. The only thing now, watching as an adult, is you can clearly see that Michael Keaton can't move in that damn suit. It is so tight and stuck to his body. He can't turn his fucking head. It's so you can tell nowadays versus then versus now. Even Christian Bale, when he was Batman, he had the same problem. They made the suit where he couldn't even go pee by himself.
Well, first of all, just for a little context, I'm a little older than most people, so I remember the Adam West Batman back in the day, which was more campy and comical, and I can understand why a lot of people my age still remember that one fondly, but a lot of people younger than me don't, because it really didn't match some of the later comics that were a little darker. Now, what I read is that Tim Burton kind of based his vision of Batman on the comic The Killing Joke and on The Dark Knight, which are a little edgier, a little darker. So when I'm going into this one, I already know that, and I'm actually glad about that. I mean, I didn't want to see the campy comical Batman with the pow and zock every time they punch somebody. I didn't want that. I wanted a more edgier Batman, and so that's what we got here, and I was glad. So the opening sequence for me was like, okay, even though I might not have been crazy about the selection of Michael Keaton so far, I'm liking what I see.
Yeah, I mean the movie. I guess the Joker does get an origin in this movie. We see Jack Napier working for Boss Grissom, and the whole dynamic with him sleeping with his girl, and that's how he sets him up to fall into acid, and he becomes Joker. He didn't have kids in mind, because that scene when the first time you see Jack after the acid, and he's sitting in the chair and you're taking the bandages off, and they keep him in the shadows. You don't get to see his face in that scene, but it's still at this point it's still pretty dark. And how their approach, I mean, with the Joker character in this movie is still pretty dark because that's the first time you hear that sinister laugh.
You understand that the nerves were completely severed, Mr. Napier. You see what I have to work with here.
And then Jack Nicholson, my God. Speaking of Jack Nicholson, got to be the biggest pimp in Hollywood because he not only got paid for this movie, he got paid for Batman Returns. He got paid for Batman and Robin. He got producer's credit. He got revenue credit off of any profits that this movie got because he didn't want to do Joker. He just didn't want to do it. But Tim Burton, the way Tim Burton operates, based on what I looked up, he writes a script and has a movie idea, and he knows what actors he wants, and he will do whatever he's got to do to get them. Well, Jack Nicholson is a hard get to get, and this is The Shining, Jack Nicholson. To this day, I think it was at the time it was definitely that he was the highest paid actor based on this movie. This was also the most expensive movie ever made at the time at $40 million. Obviously, it's not the case now. Movies cost $200 or $300 million now, but at the time, this was the most expensive movie ever made. I thought Jack Nicholson, to this day, I said it before, last when we reviewed Joker, he's still my favorite Joker. I just like the transition from being this cool, calm, collected Jack Napier gangster to flipping to being this insane, crazy person with this laugh. And while it started off dark, as the movie progresses, he gets almost to Cesar Romero level with the way he plays Joker. So yeah, while after seeing it now as an adult, this movie is not as dark as I once thought it was, especially after seeing the Dark Knight series and definitely after seeing the Robert Pattinson movie. This movie pales in comparison as far as darkness goes. But in 1989, I could definitely see this being considered really dark, especially after going from Adam West to this. What was the response when Jack Nicholson was cast as Joker? Because he was the lead. His name went first. Nicholson, Keaton.
That was part. You talked about how Nicholson had a lot of cachet. Nicholson was a legendary actor by this time. He had won an Academy Award for Best Actor for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He had been in Chinatown. Jack Nicholson was an absolute legend in Hollywood, truly one of my all-time favorite actors, maybe in my top 5, just a brilliant, brilliant actor. So when I heard he was cast as Joker, I was like, okay, I love that casting. And I said, I was already going to go see it, even though I had reservations about Keaton. But I said, look, I'm good here. Nicholson is going to kill this role, and I was all about it. Look, no doubt about it, Nicholson was the right choice. But in order to get Nicholson, who, like I said, was one of the big dogs in Hollywood, you had to give him everything he wanted. Nicholson was smart. He knew what his worth was, and he said, I don't want just a piece of this film. I want a piece of the franchise. And so they gave it to him, but smart move, because I don't think this is the same movie without Jack Nicholson as Joker.
Oh, no. No. I mean, you could have gotten, I think Robin Williams was considered at the time. And I think he probably would have killed it too. But just didn't have that, like you said, that cachet that Jack Nicholson had. They probably could have got Robin Williams on the cheap, definitely cheaper. Kim Basinger. Going back and watching this, she was kind of the first real female lead actress outside of what's her name from No Holds Barred. She was the first real female lead actress that I had my first crush on, because if Bruce Wayne the Batman thinks she's good enough, well, she's good enough for me. And growing up as a kid, I didn't really understand the dynamic of her character as much as I do now. So now seeing it, her in the role, it's I hate that she only made one appearance. I really enjoyed her character. I thought it was a very well written character, a very well rounded love interest. You kind of have a love triangle here. You got Joker and Batman kind of chasing after the same woman, and the way they played off each other, like that. There was the the moment where Batman asked, "How much do you weigh?"
How much do you weigh?
About 108, I think.
Hold on. See that thing on my belt? Grab it. Whatever you do, don't let go.
And I love when they come back down. He was like, "You weigh a little more than 108, I think."
You weigh a little more than 108.
Oh, really?
Let's go.
She wasn't the first choice either. She'd actually got the part because what's her name? Sean
Young.
Sean Young was the original choice, but she got hurt in a horse accident. So they reached out to Kim Basinger, and she got the part. So
Yeah, I guess I would say it worked out. I do think Sean Young is the better actress, but look, we'll never know. All I know is that I did enjoy Kim Basinger in this role. I thought it worked. I thought the chemistry between her and Keaton was good.
yeah.
But Sean, and look, obviously I don't know the lady personally, but she kind of got a reputation in Hollywood for being hard to work with.
I could see that. I mean, she was attractive back in the day. It's I don't want to be mean, but the looks haven't held up as well. That's all I'll say.
Okay, I'm leaving that alone.
I'm leaving. But she still, who hasn't aged? This is totally off topic. What's her name from Congo, and she was in Ozarks.
Congo and Ozark.
You've seen Ozark, yeah? So Ozark on Netflix.
Yeah. Laura Linney.
Laura Linney.
Yeah.
You talking about age and she barely looks different from Ozark. Go watch Congo. Go watch Ozark. She has barely aged.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. Anyway, getting back to this movie. I thought watching it again, I thought this movie could have been cut down. I know that they were trying to stress the whole Joker thing with the Smile X and him poisoning the city and people using beauty products, and then you see people not using them, like the newscasters, they got pimples and stuff hiding all their stuff, and people not wearing makeup. I got all that. It just seemed drawn out too long, and it almost had that Star Wars Episode 1 effect of too many politics thrown in a movie, and you're just dragging this thing out.
Becky. Kill the camera.
So, as far as this movie goes, when it comes down to the climax and everything, I thought it was curious now watching it back that Batman's got the bat plane. Why he chose to go up to the moon and do the symbol, it was shaped as the Batman symbol, of course. I don't know. But Jack Nicholson taking this long gun out his pants and shooting the plane in one shot, takes down the plane. And he couldn't hit Jack at all. He's shooting at him, and he couldn't hit him. He hit everything on the side of him. And then he crashes into the building. The plane explodes, but yet he somehow survived the crash. I don't know. and we get the whole bell tower scene with him, Batman fighting his way up to the top to get the Joker. The one thing I will say, and I'm glad they kept it that way, they had his goons fighting Batman, not Joker. Joker's not a fighter. He never has been in the comics. He's always been logically a step ahead of Batman, or at least has tried to be. He cannot physically go toe to toe with Batman. And I'm glad they didn't try to do that this time. The only thing is, people had the thing about Batman doesn't kill. Technically, he didn't kill Joker. He fell. I guess I still felt satisfied with the ending because there was that climax and there was a resolve. They do reveal, Kim Basinger does find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. They do a shorter version of the origin story, one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Tell me, kid, you ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?
The whole scene is my favorite part of the movie. When you see the young Jack Napier, kind of in slow motion with the deep voice, you get to see Batman. I believe he's fully encompassed and accepted being who he is when he's standing at the top of the building and just staring at the symbol, the light symbol, and the bat signal. And we cut the credits. Obviously, the score is great on this movie. Danny Elfman, the most iconic score to me ever.
I have to chime in because this is one of the few movies, if not the only movie, that actually had two scores. Danny Elfman, who a lot of people may not know, used to be the lead singer of this group called Oingo Boingo. Just go to YouTube and look up Oingo Boingo, I Love Little Girls. Kind of a creepy little video from the 80s, but that's Danny Elfman as the lead singer, if you don't know what he looks like. And then, of course, I am representing my favorite musical artist of all time, Prince, who would have celebrated his 65th birthday on June 7th. He also did a score for this movie. So this movie actually had two.
Well, he did the soundtrack.
Well, soundtrack, yeah, I guess technically, there's a different soundtrack score.
Score is the background music that you hear. The soundtrack is the actual, like, the song. So every song in this movie was by Prince. The whole soundtrack is Prince.
A lot of people may not know that it was around this time. This was before Alec Baldwin. Kim Basinger and Prince had a little thing. They had a romance around this time. And Prince did a remix to Scandalous. It's 21 minutes long. It is called the Scandalous Sex Suite. Kim Basinger is featured in that. And
I think I heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty sexy, pretty erotic listening for those. You can find it on YouTube.
Well, yeah, this is another movie. I mean, is it flawless? No. It has flaws. I see them now. I talked about the one shot taking down an airplane. I thought it was too long, too much of the Smilex and dragging that out, and too much of Gotham politics. But overall, I love this movie. I go back and watch it all the time. Michael Keaton, still my favorite Batman. Jack Nicholson, still my favorite Joker. And I look forward to seeing what they do with Michael Keaton in the new Flash movie. So we'll see what happens with that. Rob, I know, you already said Michael Keaton not your favorite Batman, but I'm curious what you would grade. I mean, for me, this is A+. This is A+ movie for me. But curious what you would grade Batman 1989.
This might surprise some, but I am going to go A. And the reason why is because before this movie, this movie had been in development for a lot of years. And Batman had just kind of fallen out of, mainstream culture, except for in the comic books. But this movie and the success of it really resurrected the legend of Batman. And without the success of this movie, we obviously wouldn't have the subsequent sequels. And I'm not sure we would have had the Nolan series. I'm not sure we would have had the Batman the Animated Series, which I think is one of the greatest animated
Oh
series.
yes.
Yeah, I just don't know if all of those things happen if not for the success of this movie. So even with the questionable casting of Keaton, which I have come to accept more over the years, even though I still think there are other actors who could have done it better, I have to give it an A, and I'm probably looking through the lens of hindsight because I've seen the impact that this movie has had on pop culture, and it's undeniable. And so for that reason, even though, like you said, the movie has its flaws, it's definitely a strong A for me.
But let us know in the comments. Thank you all for watching, hitting that like button, subscribing, sharing. You know, please. We love y'all. All we want y'all to do is to like us.
Good or bad, but
just like us. Just hit that like button. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
Just like that. That's all you gotta do. That.
Take care, everybody. Speak to y'all again soon. Peace.